It's very good to be here. This is my third visit to Cardiff this year, I'm pleased to say, and there are reasons for that which I'll come on to explain. And it's good to be back. I have to tell you the reputation of this event, this club, goes before you. So I took the precaution of talking to Mr. Nigel Wilson, who's Chief Executive of Legal & General, who had the privilege of addressing this gathering a couple of years ago, I think. And he said, well, there are three things you need to know. The first is that it's a very big deal, this club. Everybody goes. That's clearly true. The second is they have this weird tradition, he said, that you have to do 2 speeches, not 1. Now, I'm told I'm going to be let off, and you are going to be let off that tradition today because it's a lunch. So that's not true. And the third thing he said is, and I ended up staying up until 3 a.m. drinking in the bar. So that might not be the case today, but anyway, it's great to be here. I'm here wearing 2 completely different hats, which reflect the fact I have 2 completely different jobs. I am chairman of Legal & General, which is a huge privilege. And Cardiff is a big deal in the world of Legal & General. We are one of the largest employers in this city, and we're also a massive investor in this city, and I'll say something about that. I'm also chairman, in the rest of my week, of an organisation called UK Research and Innovation, which is the largest and most interesting organisation you've never heard of, and I will tell you something about that too. But let me start with Legal & General. So when I was last here in Cardiff, which was about 2 months ago, I was here with the entire Legal & General board. We had a 2-day board meeting in this city, and we met quite a few of the 1,800 staff we have employed in this city. That's about a quarter of the whole group is based here. We've been here since 1996, and we're very happy with our operations here. They're thriving, and we're very committed indeed as an employer in the city. But actually, the physical evidence that you see is also of our investment here. So we have invested as a group, we have committed £600 million so far to investment in the Cardiff area, which is quite a lot of money even for us. And I've seen for myself the astonishing transformation of Central Square. We've brought forward 700,000 square feet of space, including, I'm told, the largest ever lease signed in Wales. And it is just an astonishing transformation of the centre of the city. We're also very proud to be financing the new Aston Martin factory, 20 miles or so from here, which will create about 750 local jobs. And we also own a ton of land around the airport, and we're very interested in the whole process around development of that opportunity, and something that has the potential, certainly, for major investment. We also do some really interesting things here. I've been myself to the Eagle Lab, which is this fantastic facility for new technology and local entrepreneurs. And through the social enterprise assist that we support, we have directly supported 14 new social enterprises in Wales, which is just terrific. I'd just say two things about this sort of large-scale investment in a city like this. I mean, one is Cardiff is not unique. We've done similar things, similar sorts of scale in places like Salford, in Leeds, in Newcastle, and we're actually talking to probably most of the really big cities in this country outside London about this sort of possibility. And this is something that makes phenomenal commercial sense for us. We're doing it for hard-headed economic and business reasons. We would not contemplate an investment like this in London. Others would, we wouldn't. We take the view that the London property market is a completely different animal. It's very crowded, it's very volatile, We take the view that actually the potential for us is in places like this, where we can make a really big investment that others probably wouldn't be able to do, that makes a big difference. And we are feeling hugely positive about the collaboration that we have had with government and politicians in Wales, the local council, and with the Welsh government, all of which has been absolutely terrific. The second thing I would say is that an investment like this, and this is particularly true for a business like Legal & General, is an inherently very long-term proposition. I actually have no idea how the Brexit thing is going to play out. I have no idea whether we may end up with a Jeremy Corbyn government. All sorts of things I don't know. And in a sense, if you're running a business like Legal & General, where we're sitting on, we have an incredibly serious responsibility, which is to look after the pension payments of literally millions of people. It's in the nature of our balance sheet that we are looking at very long-run obligations to pay mainly pensions over a very long period of time. We have to look through all that. We have to be prepared for anything that the world may throw at us, and we have to think about what's going to be an investment that's going to help meet our obligations over that very long period of time. That's how we think about the business decisions we have to take, and that is absolutely the spirit in which we enter into the kind of partnership that we feel we have with a city like this. So that is all about Legal & General. That's, as it were, half of my week. My other responsibility, the other hat I wear, is I chair this thing called UK Research and Innovation, which is a very new creation. It only has been legally in existence since April this year, and it is incredibly exciting. So just to explain what it is and what we do, the government currently spends about £6 billion a year on various forms of support for science, research and innovation all around the country. And it has historically spent these very large sums in a slightly haphazard way through a large number of different bodies. And a decision was taken a couple of years ago that, first of all, the government wanted to invest more heavily in this area, which I think is an absolutely fantastic and very exciting thing. So the budget that we inherited on day one is about £6 billion a year. That rises pretty rapidly to £8 billion a year over a period of 3 or 4 years. So that's a pretty sharp rate of growth. It's an incredible responsibility to have the opportunity to spend that money and to spend it well. And I think in the complicated times in which we find ourselves as a country, the fact that the government is willing to put this sort of money behind science and innovation in the UK is a really important thing. So what we do is we sit on top of all this money and we allocate the money, and we through a number of bodies that sit underneath us. That is to say, 7 research councils, a body called Innovate UK, and a body called Research England. So it's slightly complicated from a devolution perspective. We have 8 UK-wide bodies and 1 English body, which is the body. It's the body that was part of HEFCI that directly funds some research in universities. But we are, the vast bulk of our funding is UK-wide, and we take that incredibly seriously. Now, we are doing some very interesting things in Wales. I would point, for example, to the Active Building Centre, which is a £36 million recent investment to develop clean energy innovation at, I'm sorry to tell you, Swansea University. Or something like IKC Specific, which is the Information and Knowledge Centre for Functional Industrial Design, which is now into its second phase funding with a further £26 million. And this afternoon, I'm really looking forward to visiting for the first time the Compound Semiconductor Applications Catapult. My good friend Derek Jones would not let me come here today without visiting the Catapult and visiting IQE, which is an extraordinary company and very Welsh success story. And I expect we will be doing a fair amount more in Wales. But, coming here today, I did have a look at some of the statistics, and they are a little bit challenging. I suspect I don't need to tell people in this room this. But actually, currently, Wales, if you look at Research Council grants, which is, we're talking about billions of pounds here, currently Wales wins 3.1% of UK-wide Research Council grants. That's significantly less than the share of population. And if you look at Innovate UK support, which is incredibly important for technology companies, actually the success rate in Wales is about the same as the UK-wide numbers, and so that sounds quite good, but then you sort of dig underneath that, and what you find is that whilst the success rates are about the same, application rates are much lower, and the applications from Welsh businesses tend to be smaller than the UK-wide. So whilst the grants that are getting funded are at the same rate, we are just getting fewer and smaller applications from Welsh companies, which is a little bit disappointing. You also don't have in Wales an equivalent of something called the Higher Education Innovation Fund, which is a big deal in England, which is a mechanism for driving the participation between universities and business, which I think, if I may say, is a little bit of a missing piece of the jigsaw. Which is all to say, look, there are some challenges, and I think it's important to be honest and direct about that. It isn't the case, I think, that there's some bias in the system. If you go to Scotland, for example, it's just the case that for various historic reasons, Scotland actually punches slightly above its weight. That is to say, it actually wins more research grants than England does per head of population. So it's perfectly possible for a devolved country to, as it were, beat the system. And we need to be running a system which is, ruthlessly and rigorously meritocratic, and we will. That is absolutely the spirit in which we have to operate the system. That said, I really wanted to sort of end on this note. I think it's all to play for here, and we would really like to work with Welsh technology businesses, with Welsh universities, with Welsh policymakers, and just work out what we can really do about this. I'm going to bring the UKRI main board to Wales next year to make sure we do talk to all the critical opinion formers here, and we're really interested in exploring with you, well, what more can we do? In particular, what are the really exciting opportunities? What are the pockets of excellence that we could really back? We're very serious about this, and I think we could jointly make something quite exciting happen. So I'm going to end on that note, if I may.